Thanks, everybody. The time is 7:01, and I would like to welcome everyone back to open session. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, thanks for coming. Our first item is always public participation. Marilyn, do we have? We do. Okay, great. Thank you for attending. As is the case in all of our meetings, there are two opportunities for public participation. The first is for individuals who signed up prior to the meeting. For those who wish to speak during our second opportunity at the end of the meeting, please pick up a form from the table outside the boardroom and submit it to Marilyn Zidlow to call your name when the time comes. Please understand that the board appreciates hearing from our community, but cannot engage in dialogue or discussion during our meeting. If there is a comment that requires follow-up, the appropriate administrator will respond at a later time. In accordance with board policies 230 and 830, we appreciate you limiting your comments to 3 minutes and for keeping tonight's meeting respectful and civil. Marilyn, will you please call our first speaker?
Whiting?
I signed up for Jan, I'm sorry.
Okay. LTPA Sheldon is not here. I don't think there's anybody else from the group here. Andrew?
All right.
Good evening. November is a time of gratitude, and there are many things to be grateful for. Here are a few. First, last week was School Board Appreciation Day. I want to take a moment to express the teachers' heartfelt gratitude for their dedication and leadership in guiding our school toward excellence. Your unwavering commitment creates an environment where students thrive and teachers are empowered to inspire young minds. Congratulations to the LT community on receiving the exemplary rating in the Illinois School Report Card. This achievement reflects a true team effort involving every member of our school, students, teachers, paras, administrators, the B&G team, and countless others. Thank you all for your hard work and dedication. A special congratulations to our amazing sports teams whose hard work and team spirit have brought pride to our school and community. The swim team's strong performance at state this past weekend and the cross-country team's success the previous weekend are commendable. Additionally, congratulations to the football team on an incredible season. These accomplishments highlight the dedication of our students, coaches, and families. The LTA wishes the winter sports teams the best of luck as they begin their season. The LTA also extends its gratitude to substitute teachers, whom we honor on Friday, November 22nd. Their support and reliability are invaluable, and it's reassuring to know that they always have our back. Lastly, I'm deeply thankful for the incredible teachers who go above and beyond every day. Also, for our students, whose creativity, reliance, resilience, and passion for learning continue to inspire us. Together, they form the heart and soul of our school, which makes LT an outstanding place to learn, grow, and succeed. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
That concludes our first public participation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Well, then our next report is from our student representative, Emily.
With Thanksgiving just around the corner, many students are pushing through their busy days, trying to meet deadlines, prepare for exams, and stay focused with a well-earned break in sight. Unfortunately, it is that time of year when students are sick and fighting to stay healthy, which can lead to frequent sick days, missed classes, which overall all adds to the academic pressure. As the workload intensifies, the thought of a comforting Thanksgiving meal provides a much-needed source of motivation for those navigating these challenging weeks. We kicked off the month with a Senior Ditch Day, a moment that seems to capture the spirit of November for many students, feeling a bit overwhelmed yet determined to push to the finish line. Despite the challenges, we've also witnessed some incredible student achievements this month, highlighting the perseverance and capability of LT students. Speech team had a fantastic day on Saturday at Speechapalooza, with 10 members earning medals in various categories. For many, this was their first tournament, making their achievements even more impressive. This past weekend, NHS also came together to assemble 200 Thanksgiving care packages for the homeless, which will be donated to the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans as a part of a special tribute to Veterans Day. They as well continued their efforts to give back to the community by creating posters for the December food drive. It's clear that many students are embracing the opportunity to give back to the community and get involved in these meaningful efforts this time of year. It was a heartbreaking loss on Friday night for the boys varsity football team, who ended the night 24-7 to Naperville Central High School. Despite the loss, they also achieved a great accomplishment. They had an 11-0 streak, a feat that was not accomplished since 1943 when they had a 9-0 streak. They made incredible strides, played with passion, and brought school spirit to new heights. Their dedication and achievements will be remembered as a defining chapter in school history. In other sports news, the girls swim and dive team placed 5th at the FMC this weekend, scoring 146 points, setting 6 new school records, an outstanding accomplishment. Boys tryouts were also held last week with around 70 students trying out for the boys varsity team. Meanwhile, the girls sideline cheer team has been hosting workshops over the past few weekends in preparation for the winter session and basketball games ahead. For many student athletes, the launch of the LTHS 2025 decision page on Instagram has made the college process feel even more real. Last week was fall signing day, and we've seen some incredible commitments, including Caroline Mortison from the girls soccer team, who signed soccer at Miami University, and Nora Ezeki, who will be playing basketball at Stanford University. The Hispanic Leadership Council held its second official meeting last Monday, where they discussed topics such as career paths and the types of classes and teachers they can get help from to support them students on their journeys. Seniors took on the role of mentors, while freshmen and juniors asked questions and sought advice. This marks an exciting start for a valuable academic program here at LT. And that's all for the report tonight. Thank you all for your time. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much. Lots of exciting things happening. All right, next to Dr. Waterman for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Gretsch. I have a pretty quick report tonight. I'll just start by reminding, just a reminder that in your packet, you're going to find a memo that provides the monthly FOIA report since our last meeting in October. Also, Andrew mentioned this as well, but Friday marked the official statewide observance of School Board Members Day in Illinois, and it just serves as an opportunity to show support for school boards as a collective group, but also to share appreciation for the individuals who serve all of our school communities. There are actually 6,000 elected school board members, unpaid volunteers, including all 7 of you, that really work hard, tirelessly, and dedicated to our whole school community. So I always want to share my appreciation to each of you for the work that you do, and I know our school community really supports you and thanks you for your service as well. And then aside from that, I would say we're still a week away from Thanksgiving, but we don't meet next week. So I just want to say Thanksgiving wishes to all of you and to our whole school community. That was my quick report for tonight.
It is quick. All right. All right, so then we are moving into new business with the consideration of approval of the 2024 tentative tax levy. Brian Stasiak.
Thank you, President Gretsch. We have gone through, at our prior meetings, all of the math involved here, all of the numbers involved, and I've made a few changes since we talked about it in October. However, there have been no changes to the aggregate number, so all of that is the same. What I've done is, well, first of all, the total levy estimate is $85,993,338 in the operating funds, and then the total for the proposed levy is $88,903,838, which is a 4.67% increase over the prior year. And again, as we've talked about, the board has always chosen to have the truth and taxation hearing. We are not required to do it because we are less than 5% of an increase. However, the board has always chosen to do that, and so we're moving forward with that as well. And you'll note that in your packet, I also have a copy now of the truth and taxation notice that will be published in the newspaper, I believe, on December 5th, if I'm not mistaken. We have to have it no less than 7 and no more than 14 days prior to the actual hearing at the board meeting. So that is scheduled for publication at this time. In addition to that, you'll notice that we also have that same document on our website now, which is also required. And so that same document is on the website. It's supposed to be on the website for, I believe, 30 days now prior to that, and we had that up there beginning last Friday, Thursday or Friday, one of the two. So we are in compliance with that as well. That being said, I just wanted to point out just a couple of the changes that I made. I did reduce the transportation levy. Originally had it $1,750,000. I reduced that to $1 million. That $750,000 was removed and then put back into the education fund levy again, so we're just moving it between the funds. And again, the reason for that is the balance in our transportation fund is getting a bit high. And so what we want to do with that is we want to reduce that transportation fund balance. And so we will intentionally run a deficit next year in the transportation fund to reduce some of the fund balance in that fund. And so that's the plan for that. So when we look at next year's budget, we will most likely see roughly $1 million deficit in that fund, and that's fine. It's okay. We're going to spend down some of the fund balance in that fund. In addition to that, I've reduced the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund levy and also the Social Security levy by $100,000 each because we have a good fund balance in there right now, and I think we're probably better off with a little less money going into those as well. And so I've reduced those because we also are required to put some of our corporate personal property replacement tax money into that fund as well annually. So that will cover some of the loss here, but again, we're running pretty much even with that fund. So there really probably, I don't anticipate even with this, a deficit in that fund at all. If anything, we probably break even. But that total of $950,000 had been added back into our education fund levy. And so the aggregate amount is still the same as what we talked about. And then finally, I actually, when I had forgotten that with our bond and interest levy, we actually had two bond issuances last year, one in December and then one in November and then one in January. And so we actually don't have a supplemental levy this year. That number was already in our documents. So I had increased the number by the CPI, which is 3.4%, but the actual number is on your document now of $2,910,500 even. So just adjusted that down. It was a small adjustment in that levy. And so that made just a bit of a small change to the 4.67% increase, actually lowered it a little bit, but not by much. And so that being said, on the document that I have here, the proposed 2024 levy, you have in that gray column L, the proposed amounts for the levy, again, estimated, tentative, for adoption for tonight. Again, the process is such that after we would adopt this tonight, I don't anticipate any changes between now and December. That should stay exactly the way that it is. We would come back, have our truth and taxation hearing at the regular December meeting, and then adopt the final levy, 2024 levy at that meeting as well. Be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
When do we have to start putting it on the website? I know you mentioned that.
The new law requires 30 days prior.
Okay.
So we had it up there, I think it was last Thursday, I think we had it up there, which was,
Where do we put that?
it's on the front page.
Oh, it is.
So if you
Okay.
actually, it's on the front page, if you go and you scroll down the front page, it's right there, there's a link to the truth and taxation, to that same document you have in your,
That you see that will be. printed
correct.
in the paper.
That'll also be
Yep.
that'll also be published in the
Okay.
newspaper.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
you're welcome.
Anybody else? I know we had a chance to chat last time. All right. Then
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
welcome.
thank you. Can we have a motion to approve the 2024 tentative tax levy as presented?
So moved. Second?
Could we call the roll, please?
Member Juarez?
Yes.
Member Vita Daniels?
Yes.
Member Dillon?
Yes.
Member Giannotti Fry?
Yes.
Member Strewing?
Yes.
Member Thomas?
Yes.
Member Gretsch?
Yes. All right, great. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. All right. We have 3 items that are informational tonight, and we are going to begin with a statement regarding the Attorney General opinion. Regarding the recent non-binding opinion from the Attorney General's office regarding closed session meetings held throughout 2022 and early 2023 related to the Willow Springs property. Audio from those meetings is extensive and continues to be reviewed to meet the redaction needs related to setting the minimum bid price. Our current legal counsel, Kevin Gordon, will speak momentarily regarding that process. The law regarding board member review of closed sessions requires coming into the office to listen in person. Those listening sessions are part of the review process already underway, but will take some time to complete, especially with the upcoming holiday. We anticipate being in a position to take action on the Attorney General's opinion by the December 16th board meeting. So Kevin, thank you for joining us tonight, and I'll turn it over to you, please.
As you mentioned, the board recently received, pardon me, a non-binding opinion from the PAC. The reason it's non-binding is because it took them so long. One, it took them so long to respond to the complaints, and they did not feel like it was a situation that needed a binding opinion. But they released an opinion that covers meetings from April 18th, 2022 through February 21st, 2023. There are multiple meetings, and that's why it takes a considerable amount of time for the board members to review those tapes and become familiar with them. It's also important because you have new board members who need to come up to speed with respect to those discussions, so that they know what they're going to be asked to approve in December. The opinion was issued in response to several complaints. There was discussion in closed session regarding the Willow Springs property extended beyond the subject of setting price. And with the exception of one occasion, the PAC also determined that the board did not properly invoke the appropriate closed session exception for that type of a discussion. It's important to recognize that several of the recordings contain discussions that, one, were proper for closed session, that two were for which the exceptions were properly disclosed at the meeting and approved, and three, which were not subject to the complaints in front of the PAC, and so the PAC didn't address them at all. Those topics included litigation, collective negotiations, and setting and discussing compensation of employees. So you need to, when you review, listen for those conversations so that you know where they are in the meetings, so that we can make sure that we properly redact those, because those are still confidential. It's also important to understand, especially for those of you who were not on the board previously, that the board's legal counsel participated in many, if not most or all, of the discussions regarding the Willow Springs property. And as a result, it would have been reasonable for the board to believe that the discussions were appropriate for closed session. And in fact, had received some advice with respect to those discussions and believed that their discussions, continuing discussions of those issues were proper for closed session. Obviously, the PAC disagreed and has asked that, because the PAC disagrees and has provided you with an opinion on that matter, has asked that you consider releasing the closed session tapes as they relate to the discussion of the Willow Springs property, with the exception of an identified portion of one of the meetings in which it said you properly identified a closed session topic of discussing setting price and, in fact, discussed setting price. I encourage all of you to go in and listen to the tapes to make sure that you have an understanding of the discussions that were made, so that you can ask any questions in the meantime and request any kind of clarification that you might want from a legal standpoint from me. Unfortunately, as President Gretsch said, the Open Meetings Act does not permit us to send out copies of the closed session recordings to board members for purposes of reviewing them outside of the administrative office, so we do apologize for that inconvenience, but it is an important function of your position to review those recordings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did anybody have any questions or clarification at this time? No.
I guess I just would, I don't know, does the PAC then make any kind of statement to the council that was advising? Is there any kind of, I guess, I don't know, like some kind of opinion, or they sent some kind of?
The opinion is sent to the Board of Education, and your previous council, no longer being your council, did not, to my understanding, receive a copy of it.
They did not?
No, because they don't represent you. Obviously, the compliance with the Open Meetings Act is yours, right? The obligation to comply. The complaint was against the board, not the attorney. And certainly the responses to the complaints asserted and argued that the legal advice that you were given and the PAC disagreed with it as the regulatory body that oversees the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. Thank you.
All
right. Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much, Kevin. It was important to have that guidance as everybody continues their listening. So thank you so much. Okay. Related, next is the board's continued discussion regarding future facilities funding related to the Willow Springs property. So Tim, Brian, James, and I met with the D204 Pleasantdale School District on Friday, November 15th, for an information gathering session. It was a productive meeting, and we walked away not only with a better understanding of their current challenges, vision, but also what collaboration could look like. So I'll summarize the key points as I've done previously, but then ask others to chime in. So first of all, the assumption for the conversation was that any development would be within or at least very close to the current zoning. So that was out of the gate. Residential development would have the biggest impact, but they can plan for it, whereas there is more uncertainty with a mixed use or light commercial development. They provided us with a state of the district, so to speak, which was really helpful. Their schools are already at max capacity. They are converting storage spaces to offices. They have fifth graders in the middle school building, things along those lines that they shared. There is already residential development on the horizon in other areas of their district, and they also noted they have a large number of older homeowners in the district, so expect significant turnover on the horizon. So with the potential residential development of the D204 property, D207 actually worked with a demographer to project the potential impact based on the Pulte Homes letter of intent that we had received and released. Between what they already know is happening in their district and what could potentially happen, it all leads to the need for a new facility. So their hope would be for us to coordinate both a land swap with the Park District, as well as reserve an additional 6 acres from the D204 parcel to provide enough room to build a new facility, accommodate a parking lot, expand traffic patterns, and ensure enough green and playground space. Student safety is their primary concern, and as of right now, they feel 6 acres is sufficient to accommodate those needs. They noted those 6 acres could be purchased, donated, or a combination of both if or when we get to that point. If development was mixed use or light commercial, it does create more uncertainty for their planning, and they know they would work closely with the village to influence the type of businesses that would be placed. Traffic patterns would also be a primary concern in that scenario as well. D207 didn't indicate a preference on timing from their end, but were interested in our timing. Collaboration and communication are especially important because they would have an extraordinary amount of planning and execution on their end that would likely happen in tandem with any of the D204 property development. And if possible, they would appreciate an opportunity to review and provide input on any terms and conditions prior to opening bids. So James is here tonight as our counsel and subject matter expert if additional points of clarification are needed. So I would ask Tim, Brian, James, if you have anything to add, and then if there are any questions or points of clarification.
I don't have anything to add. That accurately captures the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it was just a listening session, so we made it very clear on both sides that no decisions are being made. We're just listening and hearing what had to be said, and it was an interesting perspective to hear.
Yeah.
So wait, one of the points you said was that they they were requesting, or at least putting it out there, that they were interested in obtaining an additional 6 acres after doing a land swap with their
Yes,
Park district.
yes, that was a, as they did their review with the demographer of what they would
Sure.
need to need a new facility. And I think, James, you had mentioned that there are some parameters around that from the state, but they had felt like an additional 6 acres, if it could be carved out, that would give them the room that they needed.
Yeah, I don't know the size of the school, but yeah, they were, what they were considering because of what the president had said, their overcrowding issues, is that they need some additional land. So in addition to the land swap with the park district, they were hoping that the school, that LT could also assist in one way. Again, they said, buying, donating, combination, just discussions at that juncture to help them address those capacity issues should there be development.
Question, if you can answer it, are they proposing a possible land swap at the elementary, at the middle? Which building are we talking about?
We did not get into those
Okay.
specifics, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just struggling to understand how it's being asked of us to donate land to them.
So it just, I think that would require more conversation if we go down this path, but that was just, they were saying they would need that space because they would need a new facility.
Right, I got it, but to donate for free
No, they said.
and/or purchase?
Right,
And
they-
would it be purchased at the market rate?
We weren't authorized to go into those
No,
details.
I know, I'm just asking, like,
No.
if they threw that out there, I'm just like.
Nothing.
No,
It
just-
was just a real general discussion.
Yeah,
But yes, that's what they were asking, to either donate or.
or purchase
Or
or a
purchase.
combination of,
Okay.
Thanks for gathering the information.
sure,
Appreciate that.
all right. Anything else? No? All right. Well, we know this conversation will continue, but we can let that simmer for right now.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, James, I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
James.
Have a good evening.
All right,
You too.
thank you. All right, then our final information item is the Parent-Teacher Advisory Behavioral Interventions Board Committee meeting update. So Dr. Owens.
Thank you, President Gretsch. We had our second of 4 meetings for the year on November 12th in the morning, our 23-member committee. We had a few absences that morning, but gathered. It's a multidisciplinary committee, just as a reminder of staff, administration, as well as parents and community members to discuss attendance. That's our theme for the year. And so the committee reviewed feedback that the committee itself had provided after our first session, and then also some feedback from a presentation that myself, Dr. Tyrell, and Mr. Davis, one of our assistant principals, were able to present to the LTCAC and receive some consensus question feedback from that group back in September. And so we reviewed the data, and then we went into what I'll call a deep dive on our continuum of interventions and supports for attendance, beginning with communications that come from our assistant principal's office all the way through should a student have, really be having significant concerns with attendance, in our partnership with some community organizations as well as West 40 with their truancy and tapestry program. So the team discussed that, and then we finished the meeting with looking at a tweak to communication that we want to try for second semester to make sure that families and students have all the information they need about attendance, and set some goals for our committee to really work on that communication arm of attendance in our next meetings to see how we can automatize some of the things that are happening with regard to attendance and the phone calls and the incoming phone calls from families and outgoing phone calls from our office. And just, again, making sure that families truly understand attendance, the thresholds for chronic absenteeism, and making sure that everyone knows where to find that information about their students' attendance really quickly. That was really the gist of that meeting. So no recommendations, just continuing our work as a committee and unpacking all of the complicated information that goes into student attendance.
Thank you so much.
Sure. And if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer. Or if, I know, Jill, you weren't able to be there. Tim, was there any information you want to share from the meeting?
Yeah, the only thing I will say is, I'm looking at all of our notes from that meeting, and it's an early morning meeting, it's 7 o'clock. I shared this with some board members, that I just thought it was a very informative and well-organized, and that we are doing a lot of really good things to make sure we're getting our kids to school every single day. Whether it's working with our feeder schools or some of the things that we're doing internally or partnering with other community agencies, I think I'm really hopeful that that will have an impact on our students' attendance. And I was just very appreciative of the information that was shared, so, yeah.
A huge thank you and a huge lift of this goes to our assistant principals' offices, our SST teams. So I know you were able to hear from Jen Tyrell and Drew Eater and Kate Welgemuth and Adam Davis at the meeting. But just a ton of time each week is spent on ensuring that students get to school and then can be engaged and successful here at school. So it's been something that they've prioritized immensely over the last couple of years. So, and that shows in some of the progress we're making and just the offerings that we have available to our students. So,
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Great. All right, then that concludes our new business, and now we can move on to the consent agenda, which includes the following items: the payment of bills and financial statements for LTHS and LADSI for October 2024, human resources items for LTHS and LADSI, a business services item, the Illinois School Maintenance Grant, review and approval of the meeting minutes, and overnight trip requests. Can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
so moved.
Second.
Marilyn, would you please call the roll?
Member Vita Daniels?
Yes.
Member Dillon?
Yes.
Member Giannotti Fry?
Yes.
Member Strewing?
Yes.
Member Thomas?
Yes.
Member Alvarez?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes. All right, then we're already at our next agenda item, which is the second opportunity for our audience members to give comments or feedback to the Board of Education.
Fred Whiting?
I guess he left.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, all right. All right, well then, at this time, the board will move back into closed session for litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting, 5 ALCS 120/2C11. Can we please have a motion to move into closed session?
Second.
All right, Marilyn, would you please call the roll?
Member Dillon?
Yes.
Member Giannotti Fry?
Yes.
Member Strewing?
Yes.
Member Thomas?
Yes.
Member Alvarez?
Yes.
Member Vita Daniels?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
I would like to note that I think this is a record.